Hello.
Hey,
Hey, what do you know? It's a live stream on my channel. Who would have thunk the day would come again? But welcome back. It's New Comic Book Day Book Club with my buddy John. How's it going, buddy?
I'm ready to talk some Batman. That's why I'm wearing my Black Panther shirt.
Uh, Makes sense.
You don't wear the shirt for the band that you're gonna go see.
So I don't know if I've said this before, but I take slight umbrage with that
Oh yeah,
because if Iron Maiden can wear their own shirts on stage, I think it's okay to wear an Iron Maiden shirt to an Iron Maiden show.
I mean I get that, but they're selling the brand, so they're supposed to represent it, right?
Sure, but like, would you not wear a wrestler's shirt to a wrestling show?
You don't know me well enough. I don't go to wrestling shows.
Well, yes, obviously.
Although I do wear an Angels jersey to an Angels game,
Yeah.
but that's just
But
sports cosplay.
you could be a fan of the visiting team.
I mean, right? This is true. Jennifer's in the chat. Hi,
Yeah.
Jen.
Hey, Jennifer, how are you? Thanks for joining. I mean, obviously, this is going to be the show now. We were going to talk about Batman books, but now we're going to talk about band shirts.
I jokingly, every time I go to those kind of events, like sporting events, and my brothers are wearing, I'm always like, I love your cosplay. I always, I have to say it now because I saw somebody comment that it's basically sports cosplay.
Yeah.
So now I have to. When I see somebody wearing a jersey, I was like, I love your cosplay.
So if you join like a community softball team, are you LARPing?
Ooh, you are. This is mind blowing. This is in another layer deeper. I love this.
What's up, Tony?
I mean, and fantasy football is their D&D, right?
It absolutely is. As someone who has played fantasy football, it is.
I've played it and hate it.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Well, especially since you don't like football.
Yeah, it's like way worse than real football. There's no wizards. I wanted wizards. I expected wizards.
Adriano, good vibes only. I mean, if you want wizards, I guess you got to go to the NBA.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. All right. Hey, TJ, welcome.
I mean, all right. That's what she said, TJ.
Gross.
TJ was, he's hooking me up with a lot of information about the slabs that I'm going to be unveiling tomorrow night.
Theoretically.
So I appreciate the assistance.
Theoretically tomorrow night.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's going to depend on my energy level, but at this point, my patience level is going to wear out. So my patience is so thin that like I'm not going to be able to wait 2 days. Oh, eras de Brazil, Brasiliano. Oh.
Yeah,
I don't speak Portuguese.
I don't speak Portuguese. No. Quite a lot of Portuguese-speaking families where I live, but I've not picked up any of it. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, language is not my strong suit, including English. All right, so we're talking about Batman tonight because typically we talk about stupid indie books no one cares about. So we're going to talk about stupid mainstream books that nobody cares about.
Right.
And DC decided to relaunch both Batman and Detective in the same month. Not relaunch, but like new big creative team rebrandings.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
with some big names too.
Yeah. And thankfully they didn't renumber them number one, so I appreciate them for that. Just throwing that out there.
This ain't no Marvel show.
No, because well, we'll get to that. So I feel like we should talk about them in order of release. So talk about Batman first and then Detective.
That works.
All right. So Batman number 125. Ooh, love the cover, first of all.
Yeah. It really reminds me of the Nightwing run. They've been doing a lot with purple, blue, and yellow on there. I was unable to get cover A.
A little less. The Nightwing covers are a little more fun.
Yes.
But yes. So Chip Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez are taking over creative duties starting in this issue.
Mm-hmm.
both of which I am fans of. A fan of both of them.
There you
go. What's up, JP? Alec and John talking about mainstream books. What alternate universe do I stumble into?
Right.
Yeah, Jennifer beat me to it. That's exactly what I was going to talk about. Was Daredevil. When they launched it with the same creative team with the new #1 for
Zdarsky as well.
Gosh darn reason.
Yeah.
Zdarsky as well. Yeah, and I was going to kind of compare and contrast those a little bit later. So
I'm down for that. I've read them. So
all right. So Batman. To kind of go over the plot a little bit. It starts off with Batman kind of having this nightmare about the 3 Jokers like shooting everyone he cares about. And then the actual story of the issue is about the Penguin trying to kill the kind of upper echelon elite millionaire billionaires in Gotham City. For what reason, it's kind of uncertain.
Vague. Yeah.
The only kind of hint you get is that he's just kind of being a baby about not being included. And so he's kind of like doing it just out of spite. So he hires this guy to kill these 2 people who Batman kind of gets there too late to save them. But he catches the goon, and the goon gives up the fact that it's the Penguin doing it. And so he goes and gets this information about this gala that is going to have all the rich hoity-toities at. So he's going to go and try to save them all because he knows that the Penguin is going to try to kill them all in one shot. And sure enough, Penguin has rigged up the ventilation system with some sort of poisonous gas. Penguin shows up in a gas mask. Turns out to be Clayface. Robin gets shot in the neck. Then Batman finds old Mr. Cobblepot in the hospital, and the Penguin kind of like takes a cyanide pill to kill himself and makes sure that the police and the nurse are there to see Batman at his bedside as he dies, kind of frame him for murder, which is weird to me, and we'll get into that, but we'll talk about that later. And then the issue kind of ends with last page villain reveal out of fucking nowhere.
Your favorite thing ever.
Like, why?
I got to that page and I was like, yay. I could taste your ire. It was so good.
There was no I felt like there was no lead up to it. There was no, besides like the first page, which kind of like you totally forget about because it has nothing to do with the rest of the story. The first page is Alfred seeing some like light beeping in the Batcave, I guess before he died. Or have they retconned that already? I don't know.
I don't remember Alfred being there. Was Alfred there?
Isn't he on the first page?
No. It's just the empty Batcave. Like everything's covered in tarps and dust and stuff.
We have a different issue.
Beeping.
Is that not Alfred?
Did I see that page? How far back do I have to go for that?
It's the first page of the issue.
Oh, well, way back at that page. I gotcha. Beep. Oh yeah, huh?
It says another time. So anyway, so that's another the only hint you get at the end of the issue.
I forgot about that first page. Old Wolf's like,
to my point, you forget about that, and then the whole issue is about the Penguin and Bruce trying to like save all these people, and then boomer memory. And then all of a sudden, like, it just cuts to this villain reveal out of nowhere. I don't know. That was definitely points deducted for me.
Yeah, the actual first page, JP, all the way back.
All the way back. Page.
I didn't remember. I forgot about
it. Did I cover everything?
Mm-hmm. You got the whole thing, and I totally agree, JP. This issue felt all over the place to me. I just felt like disinterested in a lot of it. It didn't even feel like Zdarsky was trying to wrap up other people's stuff from the previous story. It was a very strange issue 1.
Yes.
And I don't know the purpose of it. All the Penguin stuff, by the way, I've read the second issue he did. None of that stuff's in there. There's no Penguin. Penguin doesn't even come up.
Well, Penguin is dead.
In the Catwoman stories that follow, by the way, each book has a little Catwoman
backup story,
short story at the end. That one does get into the heirs of the Cobblepot Empire and stuff like that. But the Batman story is all to do with your fancy robot villain.
Failsafe.
Yeah, Failsafe. I will say, I really wish this had been the first issue and they had just dived right into Crazy Robot on the Hunt. Like, I think this is a far better issue 1. Mm-hmm. And I felt like this was a real jumbled mess. And I even posted on my Instagram about how Zdarsky struck out twice in 1 month for me with Daredevil and this book. Like,
don't plug your Instagram on my channel.
they both issues felt like books that, considering this is a really talented writer, were way below his par.
Yeah. So I haven't read the second issue, 126, but like that's what it seems like. That's what it sounds like.
Definitely.
Which is a very strange decision for like the first issue of this story. Really kind of hyped up new creative team joining the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
Everybody buckle up. We're back to the old style of New Comic Book Day book club where Alec just has to spend an hour shitting on a book.
Well, I get to shit on 2 books this time.
Woohoo!
Spoiler alert for Detective Comics.
I will say, like, positive side, Jimenez's art is really good.
Yeah, really good.
I'm not a fan of Danny DeVito's Penguin, but this is clearly an homage to Danny DeVito's Penguin. There's a ton. Like, I felt like I was looking at that era. If you like that era of Penguin, I think you're gonna dig the look of what they do with Penguin and even his plot line. Like, I think you could really enjoy it. I'm not a fan of that, but I could appreciate artistically kind of what he was going for with that, and I thought it was interesting.
It's okay.
I like the use of the Robins, specifically. Obviously, Tim gets a ton of time in this one. I just felt like they were way too, like, it felt like badly written plot that was trying to drive a story instead of character driving the story.
Yeah, and the especially frustrating thing for me about it was that, like, I feel like there was a good story in there somewhere. It just wasn't told.
Yeah. And I think there was so much going on, whether it was the random dream that I don't think you needed, that I think they were just trying to remind people, hey, remember when a Robin died? He's going to feel some of those memories later.
We remember.
Yeah, right? And I don't think we needed flashbacks to dead Alfred either. I think we might have needed a little reminder of where he is financially in his life right now with Batman. But even then, like, I felt like there was just a bunch of padded plot. And what I loved about issue 126, and JP, I think he can pull it together, because I thought 126 was just basically like 15 minutes of time told in one issue. Like, you just basically get Batman versus a robot, like the whole thing. Like, it's really exciting. It doesn't need plot. There's almost as much as this is a plot heavy issue to start off with. The second issue is like, screw plot. We just want to see some Batman fight a freaking robot.
Unfortunately, I don't have the Pro StreamYard, so I can't show GIFs on my.
He's not even willing to put a background behind us, Tony. I think you're really expecting too much.
I can't, because I don't pay for this baloney.
You got the duck.
I got the duck. That's how you know I'm broke ass. I don't have this branded content.
So for me, as a Batman fan, I legitimately wish I'd have just skipped this, because I don't think there was anything in 125 that necessitated it preceding 126.
Well, you get the first appearance of Failsafe.
right. 126 is a superior issue on every level. And if you were questioning grabbing 125 and you just skipped it, go to your shop and get 126. See how you feel about it. The Jimenez artwork is even better because he's able to play with, I think in this book more than in 125, with the paneling and tell an action adventure story that sets up things for later issues, sure, but really is about that 15 minutes. And it's very, very exciting for me. I thought that was way better. Can you print a picture of a dumpster fire and hold it up?
I could, but
I'll put it on my phone and share it.
I don't got time for that.
So yeah, I overall 125.
And like honestly,
I gave it a 6.5, I think, or a 7. I just really didn't like it. I only gave it another issue or two because I like Chip Zdarsky and I appreciate Jimenez's art. And I hope that there's something at the end of the tunnel. So I'm giving it a few issues to kind of get going. But, whew,
and honestly, to like Old Wolf's point, like, I don't think it was necessarily a dumpster fire. It just kind of missed the mark.
For a top tier talent,
it was sloppy
from both guys, and a top tier character. They did not start off the series with a good like hit.
Yeah,
which is shocking to me. It is shocking to me because you look at that first Daredevil issue he made, not the one this month.
Right. The first run he did,
the one a few years ago. I think it kicked off that series much more clearly and with more focus and intent that actually played out across the entire thing than this did.
Well, and also you said something interesting earlier.
What? No,
I know.
Way. Come on.
Talk about an alternate dimension,
right?
Where like surprisingly it didn't feel like you really needed to read any of the Batman before this. Like you could have picked this up having general knowledge of Batman and the characters and not felt lost at all, I feel like. Whereas I don't always think that's the case. And speaking of Daredevil, totally not the case there. And that was a number 1. How do you get an issue 125 that is more of a jumping on point than an issue 1 Marvel?
And for me, you can blame editorial on that one. I still blame Chip Zdarsky. I don't know how he wrote that issue. Like it's easily the worst issue of Daredevil he has written in that entire run.
Well, I will kind of blame editorial to a point because I seriously doubt it was Chip Zdarsky's choice to relaunch it at number 1. That was a Marvel decision. And so he had to straddle the line of telling the story that he wanted to continue to tell while also introducing a new issue 1. And I think that was kind of the downfall of that issue. I have no doubt.
Sorry, go ahead.
I because I have faith in him as a writer, I think the series will continue to be good. I don't think this is like the fall of Chip Zdarsky unless he is stretching himself too thin, trying to write too many books, which can happen a lot to people.
Absolutely.
I've seen it before.
I don't know that I've seen anybody like shout out. I don't need that he needs my shout out, but I mean, like, I'm impressed with Chip Zdarsky manning the flagship book, you could argue, at DC, and undoubtedly. You could argue that it's Detective maybe over Batman.
I think Batman outsells Detective pretty much.
Does it?
Okay. All the time, yeah.
So the flagship DC book and one of the most popular, I would say, second tier books at Marvel. It's not an Avengers, an X-Men, or a Spider-Man. It's like the next level, right? And doing it simultaneously, I don't know many guys that have ever had that chance. It's a testament to his skill, which is why I was so flabbergasted to get 2 jumping on books that were such absolute messes. I just was like, wait, what happened? I don't know.
I mean, again, like, I think my instinct is to at least some degree blame editorial. Because, I mean, especially with something like the last page villain reveal, every single Batman issue has some first appearance now. I feel like,
or every arc at least, right?
Well, to be generous, yeah, but like for work, I have to look at what hot books are coming out each week, and I have a running gag that like what Bat book is going to have a first appearance this week, because it's inevitably going to be one of them, whether it be Batman Detective or one of the other titles, smaller titles. Yeah, right. Because there's enough of them.
I mean, I have a poll that I'm going to share later, so we can look at it.
But I really feel like DC, to a degree at least, cares more about selling to the speculator market than it does selling to readers, because you don't need to introduce that many new characters. It's just you can't tell that many stories about new characters without,
right.
Like you have to have some consistency with the characters that you are telling already, without throwing. It's like, oh, I baked this cake. Oh, it has oranges and Parma ham in it too.
Well, then let's talk about the lesser of two evils. Then, do you prefer the Batman that they're doing lately at DC, where there's a new villain constantly thrown in, or the Marvel, hey, every few months we're going to reboot to number ones? Like the lesser of two evils of like comic book lore for Alec.
Can like, why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't we just do things correctly? I don't know.
Sorry. I thought of the question while you were talking. I'm like, this is going to be amazing.
That's like saying, oh, from now on, when you're driving, you have to either have your eyes closed or drive backwards the whole time. It's like, well,
backwards clearly is the correct answer.
Well,
at least I'm looking at where I'm going.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's clearly.
I thought you were going to make a food analogy of like, either I can eat this shit burger or drink this pea lemonade. Like, I don't know that I like either option, and I'm not going to pay at this restaurant for either one.
I would never make a joke so vulgar, John.
Oh my gosh, no shortage of new Marvel characters too.
Sure.
Let's see. I never noticed that about his Daredevil. Like his Daredevil, really, they introduced a new cop at the beginning, and that was it. Like across 30 something issues.
The next hot book was Daredevil Elektra.
Right. And that was not a new character. Like he was just like, hey, I put a costume on her. Yeah. Like that was really it. And I think across his 30 issues, it was a very different feeling Marvel book because of that. You know, I think he was doing something very different. But yeah, to your point, JP, yeah, there's definitely a lot of that.
Sure. And like
Hickman didn't have to do that for the X-Men. All he had to do is go back and pull all the ones people had made over like decades of X-Men books and be like, hey, remember this guy? He like shot gold balls out of his chest.
Yeah.
He's really cool now.
Let's call him Egg now.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy's cool now.
Yeah, I have no doubt that he's going to get the Batman story in order. I mean, he is an excellent writer,
right?
With an excellent cast of characters at his disposal,
and a superb artist.
And if he's given, a significant amount of leeway, which he should be given, once the first couple issues are in the bag, I mean, the sky's the limit. But this one wasn't it.
No, it was not. And I will again reiterate that the issue 126 I was way more entertained with, and it was kind of like all the plot from 2 issues was crammed into 125, and all the excitement and action was put into 126. So if you want like your dessert, like this is definitely the dessert that made it far more enjoyable. And I didn't even feel like I needed 125. So like just go get 126 and you're right where you need to be in the story.
Yeah, I'm interested to read it now to see if I concur, which I probably will.
Yeah, we can talk about it at the end of next month.
So should we move on to Detective?
Yeah, so there's 125. I'll put it back in the bag. I don't know where I put the bag. I won't put it back in the bag. Stay with it.
Do you want to try to recap this one?
Damn it! I knew you were going to give me this one. Yes.
Why do you think I jumped on recapping?
Yeah.
can you recap it without looking at it?
No,
I know the answer is no.
There's no way. It's not gonna happen. I will say on the surface level, I enjoyed the read of Ram V's Detective issue 1 more, but I
did not.
I was just as lost and confused the entire time. So this is called Gotham Nocturne Overture Part 1. It starts off with this little like, oh, we're at the opera and there's this opera thing happening and there's a seat reserved for Bruce Wayne, but he ain't there. And the opera seems to be reminiscent of some variations we've seen in the murder of his parents at some point with like this vampiric bat kind of villain on stage.
By the way, up till this point, I was totally on board.
Zorro, right? It was supposed to be Zorro. He was watching the Zorro movie. It wasn't a freaking opera. But I'm trying to class it up. So then we jump. Sorry, go ahead.
Just like the first few pages where it was this creepy thing going on and you don't really know what's happening. I was like, oh, this is intriguing. And then
it gets very typical for a few pages. Right? Because you got Batman on a rooftop. He's jumping off. He's got a heist to stop. He's got these guys on the roof. He's counting down, like, oh, get this guy, count this down. He's not working at a very good speed, according to him. A zombie shows up. I don't understand. He battles the zombie. It kind of has a swamp thing going. There's an element of the green, a corrupted version of the green. So he's fighting this guy. He's getting a little beat up. He's not doing very well in this battle. And then I don't remember who the like chick with the crossbow is.
It's Talia al Ghul.
Oh, is that Talia? Okay, I don't remember. Sorry, it's been a little bit. Oh yeah, there it is. There's Talia. JP says I really enjoyed that he is slowing down stuff, but the weird Arkham non-Arkham dude's going to claim blah. Okay, there you go. John, Prevagen is made from jellyfish. What are you talking? Is this like a memory drug I need to be taking? Is that what you're telling me? There you go. So Talia helps him defeat the Swamp Thing zombie.
Well,
I don't really
sort of defeat it because
yeah, there's definitely jumps in time that are very
and also like everything about this was just tonally so off for me. and things like don't make sense where he's like, oh, Talia, like you're in my city, you got to play by my rules because she shot the thing in the head.
Right.
So he's basically
and then
saying, like, you don't
she jumps off the roof, and we cut to him in the apartment.
And the thing is still alive, chasing them.
We don't know what happened to it. We don't know how it ended.
No, it shows it jumping back up and
later on. Yeah.
No, in the page before this.
Well, he was kind of like just like flopping around. I don't know if it was like he looks like he's just going whoa, right there.
I took that to him like still going after them. I don't know.
Then he does like a lab report on his toxicology because he's worried that it infected him
because he felt off.
Right. And then all the other Bat members apparently have access to his medical stuff, so they're all like, "Yeah, I'm
checking on their Apple Watch."
Right. And apparently, yeah, they're all.
And he has this like really cheesy speed dial system on his treadmill with everybody's superhero logo that he just taps to call them. Did not care for that.
Then he's got this weird like doomsday. Like it seems like a box, like what's it? A dark side box? What are they called? Mother box?
Yeah, from like in Mr. Miracle.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Well, you do by the end of the issue.
He then we jump to this place.
No idea.
The Origin Palace in Svastral.
Yeah.
And somebody's talking to Arzen and their mom, and they're having a conversation
about going to Gotham and kind of taking over.
Right. And then we jump to the Gotham Water District, and there's another monster, and there's some like villainy happening.
Some murdering.
Some killing. Some people getting killed. And then Bruce has some
guy's
crazy...
like maybe a werewolf or something.
Because Bruce then has some crazy vision where like a bat is climbing out of him and cuddling.
Which is the same bat from the beginning, I think.
There's some cuddling.
Is that a Pieta cover?
I mean, It is now. And then he wakes up and his phone's ringing, and no, it's not his phone, it's the box, and there's like some dancing.
Yeah, he's like, it's a music box. Okay.
No.
Hey, listen, not a last page villain reveal.
And that's the end, because the rest of it is Jim Gordon
backup story.
telling his backup story. This backup makes it even more coherent than I thought it was. I mean,
but like,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you covered all of it.
Yeah. Here's what I liked. That it may have just been coming off of Zdarsky's Batman, was like, I liked that it wasn't like plot heavy, in that it was just like completely bonkers. Like, I don't know what any of this stuff means. Stuff's just happening. It's just,
stuff is just happening is a very good way to put it. Like,
so I enjoyed that more than the plot vomit of Batman. I enjoyed the abstract nature of it all. I was hugely frustrated with the battle with Talia, Batman, and the Swamp Thing. There was no understanding of it, no like depth to it, no really value given to it. So I was frustrated by that portion. But the dream sequences here versus the Zdarsky dream I liked way better. And I felt like in a Rom V fever dream style, I appreciate it.
Okay.
So in that way, I graded. Again, we're talking about the difference between a 6.5 and a 7. It's like, it's all right there. Right. For me, it's all right in that circle.
I mean, I'm a bit lower on both.
Okay.
I think Batman was probably a 6 for me, and this was probably like a 5.
Okay.
And really, the reason, one of the reasons why I did not enjoy this detective book was because I felt, like I just said, it's tonally way off for me. It did not feel like Batman. Like, first of all, his internal monologue narration, I don't see him calling himself Bruce. Like, okay, Bruce, how many are there? Oh, I can do that in 15 seconds. Oh, it took me 18 seconds? What's going on?
I gotta know what you think he calls himself.
I think he doesn't think like that. I think he like, and then he said, JP says, I enjoyed Dick calling him old. Yeah, that was funny, but again, like, tonally that felt a little off to me. Like, they had this like weird pithy banter, Batman and Nightwing, that, especially when Bruce is sitting there worried about like why he's not feeling 100%. Like, maybe you got COVID, dude. Who knows? Like, why you chill out?
Worst issue of the Detective Comics ever. Bruce sitting at home with COVID.
The only redeeming thing about this issue to me, which I feel like should have been the focus, was this music box. Not because it's especially interesting in and of itself, but because for me, and maybe this is asking way too much, but Batman should be the action book. Detective should be the detective book. He should be solving crimes and using his brain and, uncovering riddles. And if he had found this box, like, I'm not saying he needs to be void of action, but, he beats up these bad guys, finds this box, and then it's this story of him trying to figure out what this means and track down the information related to it. That's a much more interesting story to me than what was told, which was just scene vomit. It was like, just, oh, I want to do this, and then this, and then this, and this, and this. But like you said, none of it is connective. Like, none of it made sense in relation to each other.
How did you feel about the art in this one? This is Raphael Albuquerque.
Yeah. I like his work a lot, so I was excited to see it, and I feel like it kind of let me down a little bit, but
it felt plain to me.
Yeah. I mean, it was still like on the better side of comic art, but it just, I don't think, lived up to my expectations of who he is as an artist.
Yeah, I just was even the like reveals and the splash pages. I just was nothing really like hooked me, and like yeah, I just found it very plain.
Yeah.
It didn't really draw me in.
I mean, in my opinion, take out Talia, take out Nightwing out of this book. They offered nothing to the story. Maybe they do down the road, but pull them in at that point. They're not like there's. I can't imagine. Um, yeah, I can't imagine a situation where either Talia or Nightwing, both very smart characters, couldn't catch up on the situation being introduced to the plot at any point. Like her Talia didn't offer anything besides saving Bruce's behind. Where like I feel like I don't know, like he's so clever, or he's supposed to be so clever and so thoughtful and so you know creative in the ways that he gets out of situations. I would have liked to see him uh, do something in that moment where like he is struggling and he's losing, but he finds a way to at least get extricate himself out of the situation.
Hmm. Well, I mean, and even the most tenuous connection between these disparate scenes, I think, would have been more valuable than the just sort of clunky. I don't want to say editing because it's not editing in that simple way, but the clunky way in which we move from setting to setting in this volume.
Which like like it's a shame to say like you could cut out all the stuff with the opera and his dream, but those were like the most interesting parts of the issue.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
One other thing I forgot to mention about Batman.
Okay, Zdarsky.
Yeah, was that the idea of framing Batman for a murder seems very short-sighted. I mean,
unnecessary and done before as well.
Well, they did Bruce Wayne murderer back in the day. I don't remember they ever did Batman the murderer, but probably. But
Right.
like Batman is an ethereal force. Like if they knew who Batman was or were able to prosecute him, they would have done it a long time ago. Like you can't.
Right.
It's claiming Batman's a murderer is not going to stop him in any way. And like he says in the issue, if anything, it's just made people more scared of me. So it kind of had the reverse effect.
Right.
So why, like, I feel like the Penguin is smarter than that. It felt like a weird choice.
So can I get to my main frustration across both books?
Please.
I do not feel like either book had a cohesive vision for what they want to say about Batman.
No.
Both what I expect, and maybe it's an unfair expectation from a new creative team coming onto a book like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, X-Men, whatever, is for them to have a cohesive vision of what they want to do with this character and to start that journey with an issue. Yeah. And I don't think either of these books do that.
I know I keep harping on how good this is, but just compare these to Catwoman Lonely City. And I know that is non-canonical, so he probably had less editorial up his butt about it.
More freedom.
But every single thing about Lonely City is vastly superior to either of these issues, but especially the characterization.
Right.
Like Batman in both of these falls completely flat as a character to me.
Right.
And to your point, like you're taking over one of the huge books in the DC universe.
The two biggest, you could argue, right?
Yeah. And like it's not good enough to say like I'm just going to tell an interesting story, which I would argue they didn't even do in these.
No.
But yeah, like, and I know it's hard to take a character that's been around for 80 years in a new direction, but like that's why you get paid to be a writer, so you can come up with things that would be interesting.
And I think you look at some of those runs that succeeded in taking a character in a new direction and having a clear vision. I'm the first one to harp on somebody like Scott Snyder, but his first issue in his time on, you could tell he had a vision for that.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell he had an idea where he wanted to go with it. And as much as I feel like that run disappointed in the end, he had a vision out the gate that these guys don't seem to have, or at least these issues don't seem to imply.
Yeah. But again, and these are questions we're probably never going to get answers to. Whose fault is that?
It makes you wonder where the flaw lies. Is it like, oh, they were handed the ball so late in the game they didn't have time to make a game plan? I feel like these are talented enough people that given even like the last second chance to take over a book like these, should have had a vision in mind of like where they want to go and what they want to say and how to get that moving right here in the first issue.
Yeah.
It was I just, same with that Daredevil book we mentioned. I think it was examples of 3 different kickoffs that came way short of where I expected those books to land.
Yeah, I think, and I don't know if you heard about this, about the Batgirl movie.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
That, for those of you who didn't hear, the reports are that they're planning on shelving the movie, even though it cost like $70 million or something.
At the minimum, I hear it's a lot, possibly a lot more, but yeah.
To protect the property because it was going to be so bad. So, I mean, good for them, I guess, but like, how did it get to that point? Like, someone saw the script and okayed it.
Yep. Or the dailies.
I was going to say, someone was looking at the dailies.
Yep.
Someone, why did it get to this point? Some people along the way were okaying stuff and probably throwing monkey wrenches in the works that didn't need to be put there. And I feel like similarly, this is happening on the comic side as well, where editorials coming in and Chip Zdarsky maybe submitted the script and they said, no, it's too slow, no new villain, come back with something, like add a lot more. I want something, kill somebody and put a new villain in. And he was thinking, well, that's not the direction I want to go. Well, if you want to write Batman, this is how you're going to do it. Like, I don't know if it was quite that direct, but like, I feel like it doesn't make sense otherwise.
And you'd like to think somebody like a Chip Zdarsky would be able to stand up and say, you hired me for a reason. Let me show you what I can do. And it's just like, I can't imagine that these big companies like Warner Brothers give a crap about the comics. They don't care about the books.
No, but there must be someone there
down the ladder somewhere
or up the ladder somewhere who is not privy to the information leading up to it and then saw a rough cut and said, oh no.
Oh, like on the movie side. I meant on the comic side. Oh, yeah. But yeah.
Like, Batgirl is too important to us. You can't release this.
Which I really wish that person had.
Something.
That guy should be fired for not doing the same thing for Halle Berry's Catwoman. But like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, but back then, like, the idea of superhero movies wasn't really a thing, right? Like, that was just like,
the MCU was a thing when Catwoman dropped, right?
It came out in 2005.
Was it?
I think so.
I'm curious about when Iron Man happened and when Catwoman happened now. Like, in my mind, like, how close were those things?
Yeah. Okay, somebody look that up for us, please.
Yeah, JP, get to work.
So I don't have to sit here on my phone.
We're not
just talk about.
That's
stuff.
Way too much work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're already not entertaining enough. Browsing Google on our phones is beyond the pale.
Right. So no way. No, it was before. Oh, there you go. He has firm belief and he's going to prove us wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt. He's going to prove you wrong.
My question to you, and I assume I know the answer, is are you going to get a second issue of either of these? If I hadn't
Sure.
said anything about 126, would you have gotten a single issue of either of these moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. And because I have faith in the writers. Like if it were someone who I'd never heard of before, or someone that I wasn't like, if it was Tom Taylor. Sorry to keep shitting on Tom Taylor, because like I think he's done very well on Nightwing, but you know, before I read Nightwing, Deceased and Seven Secrets, and like he had a track record for me for books that I didn't enjoy that he was working on. So if he had taken over and this was the issue put out, there you go, 4 years earlier.
That's why you're here, JP.
Um,
He's got a far more successful channel than both of ours combined.
Yeah, and he's here to check what years
Jesus
movies
Christ.
came out for us.
Wow.
That's why that's probably why he's more successful than both of us, because he's
Jeez.
helpful and thoughtful and
what
kind.
just happened? What just happened? Sorry.
Yeah, so because I am a fan of Chip Zdarsky and a fan of Ram V, like I feel like I'm willing to give them at least a few issues.
Right.
You know, if it keeps going like this, you know, and declining, well, I mean that doesn't add up mathematically
or grammatically, because you're
wrong. But I wasn't gonna. He's being nice and helpful. I wasn't gonna shit on him, but I guess John says nope.
Teacher. No, I agree. I'm in the same boat. Like I knew that I was going to give at least 3 issues to both of these and see where I came out on an interest to keep reading them or not. I have read more Batman in my life than Detective Comics, and I tend to enjoy it more. Maybe like you're saying, it's because it's more action and less detective, like slow pace stuff. Yeah. But I don't know that that's been the case in the stuff I've read. I knew I was going to get more, but I was not looking forward to it as much.
There you go. It flipped you off. Greg Rucka's Detective run was great back in the day. At least at the time. Like I haven't reread it, so it might be problematic and terrible, but like everything was back then.
I was gonna share the poll I put up on my channel was, did you like the new Batman or the new Detective more, or do you just feel like please no more Batman?
And Please No More Batman probably won. Please No More Batman won,
but only barely. It came in at 43%.
Halle Berry.
Zdarsky came in at 36%. More people like that, and 21% for Ram V's Detective. Just heads up.
This channel is at risk of getting taken down with you sharing your poll and me sharing my bone.
So we got that going for us.
Yeah, which is nice, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw on Instagram, I also posted a funny thing that I saw about like somebody wanting to see a version of Superman told from the CIA trying to assassinate him.
Not because they know he's Superman, but because he's a good investigative journalist and they don't want him uncovering his secrets, but they can't figure out why they can't kill him.
It's so good.
Yeah, I would watch it. I watch the hell out of it.
It's the comedic version of Gotham Central. Put in Metropolis with Superman. If you give this to Mark Russell or somebody with comedic talent, this is a genius idea.
Yeah, really good.
I'm going to post something about it and tag Mark Russell and be like, DC, hire Mark Russell to write this 6-issue miniseries. I need it now.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I saw that post. I was like, yeah, that's a great idea.
This.
That's the kind of idea that like you don't tweet, because inevitably someone's going to steal it and
ruin it.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be my only concern. If they give it to Mark Russell, it's gold. This is gold. He's a home run. He hit a home run on that. It would be his Gotham Central. Central.
Hell, hire the guy who tweeted it.
Right.
Give him a shot.
Right. So sorry.
So,
I didn't mean to derail. You mentioned Gotham Central and Greg Rucka or whatever, and I was like, I got to mention this.
Speaking of problematic books, I had an interesting conversation today about how, you know, you go back and like even things as seemingly as recent as Why the Last Man, which I know is not really that recent anymore.
No, yeah.
You know, there's like a number of things that are pretty problematic in it, rereading it, just from like the language they use and the kind of some of the thematic things. But you go back and read Preacher, and it's so intentionally offensive that it kind of gets the pass, because it's like, no, this is supposed to be pissing you off. This is supposed to be offensive. It's not bad for the time. It wasn't
allowed.
Like, right, because it was like, no, I know what I'm doing. This is supposed to make you uncomfortable.
So
it's interesting.
I've been
kind of like Blazing Saddles.
I've been rereading and diving into a few Vertigo series. Books that either I hadn't read the first time, like Transmetropolitan, or books that I have read and enjoyed, like Scalped, and want to repeat read.
Talk about problematic.
And I will say, across the board, Vertigo can be problematic, like as just an imprint. As much as I hold it up there as,
I mean, you can't take away anything about the quality of the storytelling.
But I get the idea that you have a bunch of white guys writing about a variety of ethnicities, genders, and whatever, and trying to bring authenticity to something that they don't understand. But at the same time, I still can appreciate and enjoy 100 Bullets by Brian Azzarello for what it is, and not necessarily have to be. I know Drew Manchu basically calls it flat racist. He's like, that book is full racist. I can't read it. And there are Why the Last Man issues, like you're saying, when it comes, because it's an entire book about gender. Like, that is the focus of the book, is discussions and comments on gender.
Yeah.
And that's not going to age well when written by two guys. And written by that, I mean the creative team is two guys, right?
Pia Guerra is a female.
Oh, really?
Artist, yeah.
I feel way better about this.
I'm almost positive about that.
I will bow to your knowledge on this issue completely.
But like, there are a few times where they like use the R word.
Oh man, there's a lot of R words.
Like to
describe
someone who's mentally
challenged. Yeah.
See, like, I don't even know how to say that.
but I'm from an era that played a game called Smear the Q. Like, that was like, that was a legit game.
Like, and I'm sure I didn't bat an eye when that book came out and they were throwing that word around, because that it was just used. But like, now we are more sensitive to things like that, and we realize, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be using language like that. But in Preacher, where they're like, oh, I'm gonna have this giant fat cardinal man fall on the son of Jesus. So like, we know that's supposed to be satirical.
Is this like giving Quentin Tarantino a pass to use the N-word? Is that where we're at with this? Is what you're saying? Because Quentin Tarantino
his intention
runs
is bad.
wild in the street with that.
His intention is bad. He's not trying to like. He's not trying to pull back the veil on anything. He's just like, oh, I just want to be able to say this word, and I want to be able to shoot a bunch of close up of people's feet.
This is one of our best shows in a really long time. We do our best work when we get into books that are just a little off for us, I think.
That's no fun to talk about books we like.
That's why I've never forced you to read Philadelphia. I don't know that show would be worth anything in the end. Although I did show a still on my photo that I sent to you, I think, and the guys on Instagram. I showed it to my LCS owner, who's way more left than me. It was like the image of the guy killing the MAGA vampire.
Oh yeah,
slicing his head open, cutting the red hat in half.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, Rodney Barnes not pulling any
punches. No,
not
making anything subtle.
It's like, let's just dive in. So there you go. No, I mean, I will say Preacher has been thus far one of my least favorite Vertigo books, but I've never gotten past volume 1. I've just never had any interest in reading another volume.
See, I was like 17, 18 when that was coming out. So like that, I was kind of like the target audience probably of like, this
Maybe.
kid just going to college reading this book that's got a bunch of boobs and swears in it. Like, yeah, this is awesome.
Which was all Vertigo did. You really think it was the HBO of comics?
Sure, absolutely.
Back in that day of like HBO was running Sopranos and The Wire, Vertigo was publishing these books.
It's awfully nice of you to say thank you.
Oh, Crystal, thank you. It's nice to know that somebody feels that way. Besides the two of us.
I miss doing it. I just don't have the energy, the time, or money, or do it every week.
I also don't I know that Scalped is a whole book by a white guy written about Native Americans, but I think it holds up in a lot of ways. I know that there's a lot of questions about like, but should he? But does he need to? But for me, like I'm incredibly entertained by that world that he creates there, just like when he did Southern Bastards.
Yeah.
But I think it's just the power of Jason Aaron's words. I don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's a real drag because, like, I am a Batman. I'm a lifelong Batman fan. And I really, really like reading a really good Batman story to me is like, it's not, I don't enjoy it more than a really good story of like an indie book or something else, but I enjoy it differently. It's a very unique enjoyment I get out of reading an awesome Batman run. And I was really excited when I heard who these creative teams were going to be, because I'm like, oh, these are going to be home runs. And maybe I put too much hype on them or something, but it's just they let me down, and I'm bummed about it.
I think we both had really high hopes, and I don't know that they were unrealistic. Knowing what these artists and writers have done previously, I don't think these are unrealistic expectations, in my opinion. I wasn't expecting the world to change. I was just expecting a good Batman book from both of them.
Yeah.
And I did not get it in issue 1.
Yeah, I would have been happy with like an 8 on both of them, but
legitimately.
Like didn't just for me neither of those came close.
No. I didn't read a ton of issue 1 indies in July. I don't know about you. I didn't have a ton of like
bought a couple, but I haven't read them yet. You know,
there were runs I finished or runs that are ongoing. I read
Genies, Righteous Source of Vengeance.
Yes, those and Philadelphia's dropped some great issues. So the new issue of Philadelphia dropped today, and that run continues to just blow me away. I have not bought 2 covers of a book in a really long time, and these were both buck wild. And the previous issue was just nuts. This ends the arc, and then they don't have a new issue till I think November or December.
Oh, really?
So this finishes the storyline, and then I think he's going to go back to doing Nina Hawes for a few months before he kind of oscillates between the two. They overlap just a little bit.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to give up. I'm hoping they're going to find their stride as well, and they're both on my pull list for now, at least.
Right.
So
I don't know why he didn't say my name.
Because I was just talking about how I was disappointed. I brought up the point, John.
All right, fine. Whatever. I mean, I promised 3 issues.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll stay beyond that for any of them, but at least it'll give me a sense of what they're trying to do. And again, the second Zdarsky issue, like for me, like leveled the water a little bit. And if the third one continues to be better, then it's like, okay, then I'm on this book. Yes, I did, JP. I'm glad you're listening.
So yeah, that's about it. Unless you got anything else you want to talk about this month?
No. I mean, I've been enjoying Poison Ivy. I got a new issue of that. I'm looking forward to.
We talked about
Philadelphia. Yeah, right. I think the second issue was really good in that as well. So I'm continuing to really enjoy that. I got a freaking ton of mutant related books to read.
Yeah, I saw that on your IG.
So this plus the 12 issue run that Gillen did on Eternals, which I gave up on after 3 because I was like, I'm not enjoying this. And then everybody was like, no, but it got really good. And I was like, I hate you guys. But it's all free on the app, so I can read all 12 issues basically on the app now. So I'm going to try to catch up on Kieran Gillen as a writer in general, just his Marvel stuff, and just like see what everybody's
Yeah,
talking about.
I enjoy his indie stuff.
Yeah. And that's what made me want to try his Immortal X-Men, his Externals, and now the event that he's writing. I wanted to be involved in it, but the little bits that I had read were not doing it for me. But I had a few friends tell me that like, no, there's a bigger picture. You give it a shot, read it as like clumps and not necessarily one issue at a time. So, and Assad Ribic doing enough of the art is like, why not?
And we talk about that a lot on this show, is that, so many things nowadays just read better in a collected format.
Tragically. Because it starts to kill off the desire to read individually.
Yeah, well, don't worry. DC will keep it alive with spec on Batman first appearances.
But see, that's when you can cut ties with all that stuff. You can cut ties with the spec market. You can cut ties with the weekly books and just read trades that are of stories you hear good things about. And then that thrives, that feeds the side of your reading for enjoyment.
Yeah.
And then it eliminates all that other crap.
I've considered doing that a number of times. The problem is that every once in a while, Something's Killing His Children comes along and you buy it off the rack and it's $1,000 book now. And I'm like, well, I would have missed out on that if I just waited to trade by it.
Damn Boom Studios.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't think it's $1,000 book.
Or 8 Billion Genies comes along, right?
Yeah.
I was looking at some list, some cover price daily, whatever list. And it was like 3 of the top 10 books were 8 Billion Genies. I was like, Jesus criminy, man. All that for 8 Billion Genies. All right.
Yeah. And it's a mini series, and like traditionally mini series don't really hold value very well. No. So I'd be surprised if
all those second prints dropped this week, so you can buy all the second. Those will be the ones that are really valuable.
Yeah, although they're just like recolored covers, which tend to also not do as well as original art second prints.
That didn't stop the Something's Killing the Children variants and 5th prints and 10th.
Yeah, but those all had original art. They had
some of them.
Yeah, I guess some of those are true. What do you got coming up?
I mean, not to like pump it up too much. The most expensive unboxing on my channel ever. For like, I'm willing to look ahead and say I will never have an unboxing more valuable than the 8 slabs sitting in my living room that I have no idea what the grades are. That should be tomorrow night. Depending on how much energy I've got.
It's funny the way YouTube has changed our lives in so many ways, including the fact that you can now wait to open a box from CGC to see what the grades are, so you can do it on a live stream.
Right?
Because like if YouTube weren't a thing, you'd be digging into those. You'd be sleeping with them tonight.
I mean, absolutely. I might do it anyways, but yeah.
Sleep with the box.
Just the box, yeah. That's not what I call my wife.
Jesus Christ. Well, we're not going to get better than that.
Oh, man.
JV says go get it right now.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, 8 epic books. Every single. I was telling Alec before we went live, like, other than the Man Wolf comic book that TJ and I really would value, the other 7 books. And even that one is an ASM 125. That's a very high grade. The other 7 books are all just, it's the first Mephisto, the first Wonder Man, first John Stewart, first Guy Gardner, Giant Size X-Men. It's like stupid expensive.
In any other CGC unboxing, that Man Wolf would probably be the cream of the crop.
Right.
But because you have like mega keys surrounding it.
It's going to be 8 insane books that I've been collecting over the last 5 years and just waiting to send as one lot into CGC. And then I had to wait 14 months to get back. And they're here now. And so I'm going to, the ladies in my household are going to come home tonight. They're going to put blue tape all over. I prepped a book to show them, like, hey, look, this is what you do. You cover the top, you cover the back, you put a little pull tab on the side, and I can be like, hey, look at the reveal. So they're going to prep all the books for me. And then most likely tomorrow night, I'll do a live stream and open them all up. No, JP, not now.
Looking forward to it.
So that's tomorrow night. And then I'm sorry to say my channel is slowly becoming the, hey, my girls play volleyball and soccer and I can't really do shows anymore.
I mean, I would hope people would understand that your family comes first.
Right. So Charlie has a full soccer tournament this weekend. I don't know how we're going to do a show.
Way to call out how small our viewing audience is, JP. Thank you.
Shots fired.
I mean, you're not wrong, but
I mean, no, the accuracy is actually what hurts the most.
And I appreciate all 5 of you greatly.
One of them might be me, actually. I think my phone
still quality, not quantity.
Yeah. I almost didn't make this show because I was at a volleyball parent thing. So
speaking of JP, we play D&D on his channel most Sundays,
but not this one.
No, not this one. And sometime in August, I will be back on his channel doing the Sagio Jumbo show we do with Geek Aficionado and Cthulhu.
And I'm doing Black Hammer on his channel. So I'm jumping in with Daryl from Read Your Comics and Justin from No Good Comics. So we're working our way through Black Hammer with him.
Nice.
Yeah, Charlie's supposed to play 3 games this weekend down in San Diego. And then Kate made the freshman volleyball team. She was like a group of 15 girls out of like 70 that made the team. So we're very excited to be volleyball parents too.
What's up, Funk? You're just catching us right before we leave, but thanks for tuning in.
I love that logo though with the scroll with the necklace.
With the chain. Yeah,
that's solid.
All right. Well,
what the? You're not even gonna watch my TJ. 2 of the 8 books came from you. Avengers 9.
Depends on what time you do it.
Yeah, Avengers 9 and ASM 125. 2 of the 8 are from are gifts from you. So,
cool. So I hope everyone has a good rest of your week. I forget how to end these things. Well, I know that part, but
okay.
Like the lead up to that, I don't know. I'm just gonna end it. Hey, thanks for tuning in. See you next month, and never turn your back on the ocean. Bye.